We are back out here the following day, and I am really encouraged. I was very disappointed the last, I don't know, week since I've noticed that this has been a problem with my tomatoes. If you missed it, my tomatoes that I started this year are looking really sad, and I don't know if I can save them. They quite honestly might be a total loss, but I'm gonna do what I can to try to save them. But I was telling Josh about this yesterday, and he was very encouraging and just reminded me, if this doesn't work out, no big deal. We're gonna chalk it up to a learning experience, and we are going to just pick up some tomato plants at our local nursery. That's why we have them. We are not reliant fully on our ability to start tomato plants. Now this tray doesn't look too bad. You're gonna notice there's some plants are really tall and some are just starting to germinate. And that's because my first set of germination on this was horrible. My tomato germination rate was, when I did my first planting, was probably 20%. So then I went through about a week and a half later, I planted more seeds and a bunch more have started to sprout, which is what you're seeing here. And I mean, this one just sprouted the last couple days, but I wanna get all of these, even though these have just sprouted and don't need to be up potted, I wanna get them out of this tray. Now I only had one tomatillo sprout from the original planting, and in the last day, 2 more sprouted, so that's encouraging. That tray of tomatoes doesn't look that bad. It's this one right here that is really worrying me. And this, I think it almost has disease. So it might be my Dr. Witchy's ones. This might be a total loss. These ones right here look great. They just sprouted the last few days, but the ones that sprouted about 2-3 weeks ago, they're turning yellow, they're dropping leaves, and these leaves are starting to turn brown and have spots on them, which I think might be disease, which is not good. Like here you can see those leaves are starting to turn color. My dahlias down here, they weren't looking diseased or anything when I up potted them and moved them from their small pots to these 4-inch pots, but they were leggy and looking not fantastic. They were okay, but not fantastic. And now this is 2 weeks since we up potted them and cut the tops off. They are some of the healthiest looking plants I have ever grown. They look so beautiful. Same with these petunias. These looked horrible when I up potted them. They were little and all the leaves were purple. And I even said, maybe they're supposed to be purple because all the leaves were purple. And look at them now. They're green and lush. Same with my pansies. They're just fantastic looking now. So I'm gonna take that little bit of anecdotal knowledge from up potting my petunias and my dahlias to see if we can get these tomato plants to turn around. Now I was doing a bunch of Googling on what could be causing this problem. The yellowing of the leaves, because these plants should be vibrant green, not yellow. I could be overwatering, according to Google. I could be underwatering, according to Google. It could be a nutrient deficiency. I don't think that's it because they are in a very high nutrient dense soil and I have been feeding them with an organic fertilizer. I think I have been overwatering these. I do have the 2 fans that I just turned off, so I do have good air circulation in here, but there are so many plants in here. I think I've been overwatering a lot of things because I've been trying to overcompensate for underwatering my mini soil blocks when I first started this year. And so I think that has been my problem when it comes to my tomatoes. I think I should have been a little less heavy-handed on the water. So we're gonna chalk this up to a learning experience. You and I are gonna find out if we can rescue these tomatoes. I almost don't even wanna show you these ones. These are my cherry tomatoes, and these should have been dealt with a while ago, but you can see all these leaves that have dropped. They just look so bad. But look, we have some echinacea sprouting over there, and I need to get these cosmos in the ground. So my goal today is going to be to get the tomatoes up potted and to get the peppers up potted because they are telling me they are ready for up potting as well. I'm having a little bit of the same issue with the peppers, no disease, but I am having some yellowing of the leaves and some dropping of the leaves, which is not ideal. So I'm hoping we don't lose the peppers, that we're able to get them in bigger pots and then put them out in the garden in about 3 to 4 weeks, and we will have a good pepper harvest. So the first thing I need is some trays. That was another reason why I didn't do this earlier, is because I didn't have any trays left. It's been musical trays around here because I have started so many more things from seed this year than I normally do. I ran out of trays really quickly on in the season. And so I haven't been able to necessarily, when it's time to do something or when I think I should do something, be able to do it, because I'm working within a few limitations that I have, which is normal. We all have limitations, and time limitations has also been a thing. So not only tray limitations, but finding the time, and I have all the time in the world today to do this. My peanuts are looking great. I should actually probably get these off the heat mat. We've got germination on our peanuts. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and get these under the grow lights now. We definitely have 50% germination on these. You might not see the peanut plant yet, but I can see the soil where it's popping up, where the peanut right there, woo, is gonna be popping its head out probably today, so we can get these on the grow light shelves. That's another thing. I was running out of grow light space, and as soon as I up pot my tomatoes and peppers, they need to go under grow lights. And I did invest in one more shelf and lights this year, but that's all that I was planning on investing in. So it's just kind of been musical chairs under the grow lights with the trays, and that's okay. These plants need a little bit of water, so I'm gonna get them watered. I was trying to think through, because I've never had an issue of overwatering before. I think this might be the culprit. I just had the thought why overwatering might be a thing. I've always had to carry in water to my plants, whether that was at my last house or this house. I had to fill up jugs with water from the kitchen and carry it in here. So it probably didn't happen as often as with the convenience of this hose. I'm pretty sure, now that I think about it, this is one of the only thing that's changed between last year and this year. And I think that's the problem. So now that I know that I think that's the problem, we can adjust what we've been doing and just move forward. So I have these pots here. I am going to be labeling every single tomato plant and pepper plant. So gosh, I sure hope I'm not buying them from the store, because I'm going to take the time to do this, because I want to know what my tomato plants out in the garden are when they start growing and what my pepper plants are. So I'm going to be using some labels that I've had and a UV protective pen, because you don't want to use a Sharpie, because in a matter of weeks, the sun will fade that. So I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna do this outside because it's nice outside. It's like the perfect temperature. So I'd rather do that outside than in here. I'm gonna grab my peppers. I think I'm actually gonna start with my peppers, just in case that is disease on my tomatoes. I don't want to transfer it to my peppers. I think this is all that I have: 2 pepper trays and 2 tomato trays. Oh, I kind of forgot I planted eggplants, and I have eggplants here. They've been toward the window. I've never grown eggplant, I've never eaten eggplant, and I have 3 and they look really good. So that's exciting. I am going to be up potting these tomatoes and peppers into this potting mix, because I'm pretty sure my problem has been the overwatering. And when I was reading about it, drainage is really important. And this potting mix has a lot of vermiculite in it. That is what I used to up pot my dahlias with, and they're looking fantastic. So again, just anecdotally, I'm gonna do what worked last time and we're gonna hope it works this time. You know, these peppers look pretty good. I was a little worried about them. But now that I'm looking at them, they don't look as bad as I originally thought. You can see I do have some leaf drop here, which is not ideal, but I'm hoping that I can get, oh yeah, I see little buds starting to form right where those leaves used to be. So hopefully we'll get some more branches that grow. But when it comes to planting, I'm only gonna plant the ones that look the healthiest into the garden. So if you guys would give me any input on why you think my tomatoes look the way they do, if you think I'm on the right track or if you think I'm not on the right track, I'd greatly appreciate your input. I'm just getting these trays laid out, because I'm gonna know I need to fill every single one of these. I think I'm actually gonna run out of pots before I run out of trays. For this first round of peppers that I'm going to be up potting, this first tray only has 2 varieties of peppers in it. Half of the tray is Anaheims. I really want to try roasting those and either pressure canning them. They're basically diced roasted peppers like you would get at the store when recipes call for that. And then the other half of the tray, or maybe freezing them, I don't know. We'll figure it out together if we can get a good Anaheim harvest. And then this other half of the tray is my monster bell peppers. And so I don't end up labeling each individual pepper plant because I know that I can get one entire tray of Anaheims and one entire tray of bells. And so I didn't want to waste my little white labels because I knew I'd run out of those pretty quickly. So I was able to get one tray of Anaheims, one tray of bells, and then I'm going to get these watered in. And I did notice that there was a little bit of roots growing out of the base of the stem of the pepper plant. So I did pot my peppers about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch underneath the soil so that that could help promote a stronger plant. I officially got one whole tray of peppers done. Now I'm going to the ones where I need to label each and every one. So, because what I'm going to do is have a whole bed of bell peppers and a whole bed of Anaheim peppers. I plan to have 4 beds of peppers this year. So I don't need to label each and every pot, but when it comes to all of these hot peppers, I do want to label each one because I'm not going to have a whole bed of, you know, just sweet banana or poblano or whatever it might be. I mean, I guess I know what poblano looks like when they start to grow, but anytime I know exactly what I'm growing out in the garden, I kind of enjoy it a little bit more. So I'm going to take the time. So what I think I'm going to do for the labeling process for all the rest of the peppers, we've got 2 trays more peppers and the tomatoes. So I'm going to count how many I have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of this. I don't know how to say this. It's TXORIXERO right there. And I have, now I have to remember 2, 4, 5, 6 of them. So I'm going to make 6 labels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to label these. I have a feeling that if I do the labeling before I start planting, then as soon as I plant it, I can just stick the label in, and there we go. I'm more likely to not miss. And this is cherry tomato on here, Dollar Tree cherry tomato. There's 2 other pieces of tape on here from the 2 other years I have used that pot. And now I can put the lid on my marker. And I have found it helps to fill quite a few first, about halfway, and then put the peppers in it, and then take another scoop of soil and top them. So that's what I'm gonna do for my, I don't even know how to say, I'm not even gonna try to say that. My poblanos, my sweet bananas, I don't know how to say that either. Sweet, M-O-R-U-G-A. I only have 4 of those and all of them germinated, so that's pretty exciting. I think they're a little like pepper that you would throw on the grill in the summer. Shishitos, those all germinated, and then my, what are they called? Oh gosh, what are they called? Eggplant. So I need 5 more pots halfway filled for this first pepper, and then we're just gonna keep going. I'm really glad that last night, or yesterday, not last night, but yesterday, I planted out a ton of things into the garden. Actually, over this last, what has it been? The last week, 2 weeks, I've been moving things out of the grow room and into the garden because it's given me a lot more space in the grow room. I would have made time to do this if I had space in the grow room to put these once I up-potted them. I just knew that I didn't have the space and I really needed to get things out of the grow room before I could do this. So there we got our second one labeled. Get it on there. I'm gonna really like having them labeled. It's been about 5 days since I up-potted these peppers and tomatoes, and just a little snippet from the future, they are already much happier. My tomatoes have completely bounced back. My peppers still have not started growing a ton more growth. You can see how there's only really a couple leaves at the top of these plants. They're not the most vibrant pepper, but they do look a lot better. The tomatoes, though, have completely done a 180 and they just needed a better drainage and more space. So you're going to see I end up doing something a little different with my tomatoes, something I've never done before, but it ends up working out really, really well. I love these labels. The next ones are poblanos. And I have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I've gotten some questions asking why did I not just start my tomatoes and my peppers and my dahlias in a larger pot, because I was going to have to up-pot them anyway. And it's because it's a space-saving technique. I only have so many spaces under my grow lights, and if I started everything out in the pot that it was going to end up going out into the garden, I wouldn't have enough space. And so that's why I started a lot of things in smaller pots and then up-potted them, because by the time I up-potted them, I already was able to take things and put them out into the garden. So there's things already out in the garden. So now that I up-pot these, they're going to take up more space. I will actually have space in the grow room for them. I officially finished that bag of potting mix, and I only have 2 more pots out here. So I need to go grab some more pots, and I'm hoping I have enough to do this whole project today. I know I have more, I just don't know if I have enough. I really need to start my pumpkins too. And so, let's see. I was gonna use these larger ones to start my pumpkins. But maybe I'll use my new Epic Garden pots for that. I got some of these 5-inch pots from Epic, and they were a little bigger than I was expecting. And so these actually probably would be the best thing to start my pumpkins in, because a bigger pot is better. It's just a little bigger than I need, but we'll make it work. I just had the thought that I think I'm going to have to use those Epic pots. So what I can do is use those for my tomatoes, and because they're so large, I think I could fit at least 2 tomato plants per pot, just put them in the corners, and that will still be plenty of room for them to grow. So that's gonna be the plan. So I'm just gonna keep going with these peppers, and I'll see you back. I've got this tray to finish, 1 more pepper tray, and then I'll see you back when we do the tomatoes. Now there are some things that I start in the size pot that I'm going to directly put into the ground. So unlike my tomatoes and peppers where I'm up potting them, I do have
my zinnias started in the trays that are going to go from the grow room directly into the garden. My pumpkins are going to go directly from what I start them in the grow room into the garden. And when I can do that, it is super convenient because it's obviously a time saver. This takes time up potting something, labeling it, and all that if you have to do it more than once. And it's one reason why I do choose to do direct sowing when possible. I love to direct sow my carrots and my peas and my sweet peas and my lettuce and my cilantro, anything I can direct sow, my green beans and my shelling beans like my black beans and pinto beans. Those are things I like to direct sow instead of start them inside because it's a huge time saver and they do really well that way.
I just got the final peppers potted up, which feels good because we have way more peppers to up pot than tomatoes. So it feels good to kind of get that bigger task done. But now I'm officially, well, not officially, I shouldn't say that. I have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 4-inch pots. They're kind of just different shaped random ones. And these ones are super warped from the sun, I think. I probably left those out in the garden one year, all year. And I have a couple pepper plants here extra, but I think these ones are just gonna end up in the compost because I think I have more than enough peppers for not only myself, but I'm gonna be gifting a lot of peppers to some of my friends and family that garden. And now I'm a little nervous to deal with these tomatoes. So what I'm gonna do, I've been trying to think about exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna keep all these tomatoes. I think I'm gonna selectively choose the best looking ones and go from there. I know that I want 22 of my Roma tomato plants. Let's see. Not my 2 trays here. Here's my other tray. These ones are actually looking a lot better. I don't know if being outside is helping them green up, but they look much greener just sitting out here. That could be totally anecdotal. Let's see. I'm gonna start with these ones because there's less in this tray and it's gonna be easier. And so I won't have to make as many hard decisions. Plus these plants look healthier than these ones. So since I'm gonna be touching these, I don't want to touch the ones that look less healthy in case it is a fungal issue, and then touch these. Josh and I yesterday just ordered a new outdoor dining table because this for the last 2 years has become my potting shed table. And so I'm gonna keep this table out here for things like this, but half the time it's messy when we want to eat outside in the summer. And so it's gonna be nice to have one on the patio that is for eating and one on the patio that is for, this is my peppers, doing projects like this. So I have found it actually is easier to do this standing up because I'm then kind of bending over the table and I have better access to the actual plant. So these are my pots. You can see the size difference here. They're pretty big. They were definitely bigger than I thought when I ordered them, which is gonna be fine because I'm gonna plant more than one plant in each one of these pots. Which will be nice because that means it's gonna be less tags I have to make. So let's start with that. Actually, let's get one more. Even number. Oh, that was an even number. Okay, it's good to have a little extra potty mix. So I only have 3 of the mortgage lifters that germinated. So I'm gonna make 1 mortgage lifter tag. This one is by far the most established. This was my first planting. And what I'm gonna do is put a big hole in my pot. I'm actually gonna push this down and I'm gonna plant that to its first true leaf. Actually, I could plant it deeper than that. And then here I have 2 that germinated. These could stay in a soil block a little longer, but because I'm up potting them, I'm gonna go ahead and transplant them, and I'm gonna push this all the way down until the leaf is barely sticking out. And that's my mortgage lifter tomatoes. Now I'm gonna do Paul Robeson, and I have 4 of these. So I'm gonna put 4, actually I have 5, 6. I don't need that many. I'm only gonna do 4, even though I'm probably not even gonna keep 4.
These first varieties of tomatoes that we're working with that we're up potting are my heirloom varieties that are for slicing and for fresh eating. They're really dense inside, not too watery, and they make the perfect like BLT or pico de gallo. And so this is kind of like my fresh eating tomatoes. And then my other kind of tomatoes I'm going to be growing are Romas, and those are going to be for sauce making.
Oh no, this is Big Rainbow. I do want more of these, so I'm going to take 4 of these.
Last year I planted out way too many tomatoes than my family needs. I did 59 tomato plants, I think. And so I'm really trying to pare that back because I want to have a lot of saucing tomatoes to put up for marinara sauce and things like that and enjoy all fall and winter. But the fresh eating tomatoes, the ones I'm working with now, I'm trying to probably only have about 15 of those or 20 of those. So I'm having a hard time selecting which ones.
The next one is Paul Robeson.
I'm going to take the time to up pot and save, and I know that if I save every single one, I'm going to want to plant every single one, and I want to use that space for other things, not an excess of tomatoes.
And I think I only need 2 of these.
And it was very hard, but I think that I made good choices throughout this up potting session.
I wasn't sure about these pots, but I really, really like them. I got 1 full tray, and that whole tray up potted. So we have our mortgage lifters, Brandywine Reds, Brandywine, Cherokee Purple, Brandywine Red and Yellow. So probably have more Brandywine than I need. Tomatillos. I actually have more coming up right here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Big Rainbow. I have 4 of those, and Paul Robeson. So I'm going to take this off, and I'm really actually super happy with those trays or pots. We'll see how they end up working throughout the growing season and having more than 1 plant per pot. They're definitely thirsty. I now know I can get 6 of these pots per tray. So I'm going to go ahead and fill 6 up, and we're going to get our other tomatoes up potted. We now have a full tray here, plus 3 pots, plus this full tray of tomatoes.
Now all of the slicing tomatoes and the Roma tomatoes and my San Marzano tomatoes have all been up potted.
I officially have now all the peppers and tomatoes planted up. I am thinking that this is going to just take these plants over the top and give them the space, and hopefully I can keep them a little less saturated. So if that was my problem of overwatering, then getting them in a bigger pot and a soil that has better drainage is going to be the key. Now, when I did the soil blocks, I put them, I think, too close together. And so there wasn't good airflow around the soil. I think I should have probably also, instead of doing all the rows along this way and then also putting the rows here where it was 5 across instead of 4, I should have just done 4 in the middle and maybe about a quarter of an inch or half an inch between them so that there was better airflow. I will let you know how this turns out. I do have a big mess here I need to clean up. So let's go ahead and get this mess cleaned up. And this is why we went ahead and decided it would be good to get a second table so that we can have a table that we eat at and a table that's for potting. Even though this is now my potting table, I do want to clean my mess up. It's one thing I've been trying to do a little bit better this year with my garden is clean as I go so that I don't leave messes everywhere, because I tend to do that. So I do have to kind of be diligent and stay on top of it to clean up as I go so that I can actually enjoy the space more if I'm not leaving messes like this around. To do all that up potting, it took 1.5 or about 1 2/3 of this Happy Frog potting mix. There is just a little tiny bit in each pot or each bag, and I will just set this aside and use this at some point to fill a pot. Now I got my mess cleaned up, and I think I'm gonna just leave these plants out here because it is kind of an overcast day. It's a little bit breezy, not super windy, so I think it would be good for these plants to get a little bit of real sunshine and a little bit of breeze. So what I'm gonna do is just let these sit out here until this evening, until the sun goes down, and then I'm gonna bring them into the grow room, which we do have space in the grow room for them. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 trays. So I should be able to fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I move those sideways, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Plus I have a spot right here and down here where I can put them. Because if you missed it yesterday, we planted out a ton of snapdragons. And if you were here when we started the zinnias, they have all sprouted and are looking fantastic. And it's looking great in here. I was just thinking about this. I don't think I'm gonna be starting any more seeds in here for the rest of the season unless I decide, oh my goodness, I say that and I need to be starting my zucchinis and pumpkins. I was done for the day. I was cleaning up and I was gonna go shower, but since I've got a little bit of Happy Frog potty mix that I just put in here, I've got the heat mats on. Let's go ahead and get our pumpkins and zucchini started so that those are started, and then I'm gonna be officially done for the year. This shouldn't take me very long. You know what? I don't know, should I start this right now? What's the date today? Let me grab my phone. I don't have any more trays left, which is fine. Let's see, today's the 12th. April 12th. I wanna be planting them out May 1st. So I have about 2 weeks before I'm gonna be planting them out. So this is actually the perfect time to do it. I don't like my pumpkins and zucchinis and squash to be really mature when I transplant them. I have tried direct sowing and transplant, and I've had way better success when I actually start them indoors. This is not gonna, I have melons too. And my gourds, winter squash, summer squash, zucchinis, cucumbers. You know, I think I'm gonna do this Monday. I think I should not try to push it. And I've really enjoyed myself today, even though before I started, I would say yesterday, I was really stressed out about the tomatoes and peppers, mostly the tomatoes, but I'm very encouraged that I think they're gonna do really well. So I kinda wanna end on a high note. So what I'm gonna do over the weekend is go through all of my beautiful squash seeds. I'm gonna unplug this because I don't need the heat mat on. I'm gonna go through my melon seeds, and this weekend I'm gonna decide exactly what I wanna plant. My cucumbers, they germinate and grow really quickly, especially in a heat mat. And like I said, I don't like them to be super big and mature. I'm not trying to buy myself a ton of time when I'm starting them indoors. I just have had poor luck when I direct sow them personally, and I don't know if it's because I didn't water them enough, or if birds or chipmunks or things got the seed and then they didn't germinate. But just from personal experience, I do like to start them indoors. So I'm gonna do that this year, but I only need them to be started for a short time. Pumpkins and squash tend to germinate pretty quickly. And I think what I'm gonna do is actually grab my loofahs, because loofahs and I think that's it. I need to do some reading on my different squashes this year. That's what I'm gonna do. Loofahs have a hard exterior, and I've tried to grow them and they didn't germinate. So I think I need to soak them overnight for 24 hours before I plant them. That's what I'm thinking. Let me do research this weekend. I will see you next time. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this, I'll pop a couple other videos here you can go enjoy between now and my next upload. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, friend.